When I left Brazil, I had plans to play for a big club in Europe and to win the Champions League. When I signed for Real Madrid, I was 18 years old. My wife was 17 years old, and it has been a wonderful adventure. In my head, I knew I could be among the best, and today I'm leaving the club as the player with most titles in the history. Modern football includes many clubs from all around the world that regularly compete at the top level but are not household names and are not recognized widely. But there is one team that almost everyone has heard about, and that is Real Madrid. The Royal Club has a huge history. Nearly every generation now living on the planet has caught at least one of Real Madrid's eras of prosperity and dominance in the European competitions. In total, Real Madrid has 14 Champions League trophies, which is an all-time record. Milan, who are in second place behind Real Madrid, have only 7 similar trophies. Real have twice as many trophies as the second place. Just an astonishing figure. And even now, they are one of the favourites in the current Champions League. And maybe very soon they'll take their 15th trophy. But why is Real Madrid so good in European competition? We'll try to answer this question. Here are 7 reasons why Real Madrid is so cool in the Champions League. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a 4-word comment. Here we go. The first reason, a team with no weaknesses. Real Madrid had no weaknesses in every era of their dominance. In fact, even after failing seasons, Madridistas have managed to restructure their game the following season, minimizing the amount of players are incapable of competing at the highest level. And the truth is, if you look at every Real Madrid lineup that has won the Champions League, you'll find real stars at almost every position. For example, let's take a look at the 2013 to 2018 Madrid lineup. Of course, to make a more objective assessment, we have to look at the lineup that played in the Champions League final. And quite randomly, we'll choose the 2017 final, in which Real's opponent was Italian Juventus, with Higuain and Mandzukic in their prime. Goalkeeper for Real Madrid was the famous player in Costa Rica, Keylor Navas. The guy doesn't need to be introduced, and it should only be noted that he was an incredible level of goalkeeper, and was showing his best performance at the time. Then there's a defensive line made up of players like Marcelo, Varane and Carvajal, led by team captain, the legendary Sergio Ramos. Just hearing those names made many of Real's opponents tremble. The best player I played against? Sergio Ramos. Behind the defensive wall comes a midfield of the highest caliber. Peak Modric, who would be a World Cup finalist a year later and win the Golden Ball at the end of 2018. Casemiro, who is the undisputed top performer. Toni Kroos, who also needs no introduction, since everyone who's even slightly interested in football knows him. Moreover, Isco, who was a great addition to this trio. And most importantly, an awesome attacking duo that terrified all the teams in Spain and the best teams in Europe. The legendary Portuguese Cristiano Ronaldo and the Frenchman Karim Benzema. Surely, even if you don't follow much football at the time, you know each and every one of the guys listed. And this works with every Madrid lineup from their successful seasons. After all, every successful season was accompanied by a lack of weakness in the team. The second reason? Character and motivation. Real Madrid are a team that is motivated to be the best all the time. After all, if you play for Real and lose motivation, you lose competition very quickly. Real Madrid always have a great bench, but moreover, almost any player wants to be a part of the Royal Club, so Madrid doesn't have a problem finding players.
You signed for Real Madrid, do you feel that to win Champions League it's kind of obsession, let's say? They're always thinking about Champions League. One year we felt another one, pressure is higher.
It's widely believed that players go to Barcelona to win against Real Madrid, but others go to Real Madrid to win the Champions League, and that's the reality. Real Madrid is not used to take second place. This is the team that will fight to win. Each player character has to fit the team, otherwise one has nothing to do in the club. But if someone who is hungry for trophies enters the club, then Real rewards them very well. A good example of this is Cristiano Ronaldo, who's been obsessed with winning all his life. Real have become his home, and together they've won 5 Champions League titles. Probably, Real Madrid has the strongest character in the football world. Third reason: popularity of the club and desire of young players to play for it. Excellent scout work. Real Madrid is the dream team of thousands of young footballers around the world. Some grew up watching Wenger Puskas play for Madrid. Some watched the great Galacticos, Beckham, Figo, Ronaldo, and Zidane. Some watched Cristiano Ronaldo. And what they all have in common is that they made the club great playing for it. All this is the history of the Royal Club. And the youngsters also want to be a part of history, making their best effort to be part of the Real Madrid. That's why Real always has talented youngsters on the way, which the club knows how to develop, both in the academy and in the regular team. One recent example is Vinicius Jr., who became part of the club at the age of 18. He's now 22, and he's on the way to becoming one of the best players in Real history.
Vinicius Jr. right now, when he focuses and concentrates on playing the game and displaying his talent, the special talent that he is world class.
The fourth reason, last minutes comebacks. Yes, that reason is largely derived from the reason number 2. Still, we felt that Real Madrid's ability to make incredible runs and show astonishing play at the last minute deserves a separate place in the reasons behind the club's success in the UEFA Champions League. Last-minute goals and comebacks are a real trademark of Real Madrid. Let's look back at a few matches in which this trait was prominent. The Champions League semi-final of the 2021-22 season. After the first leg, Real lost 4-3 to Manchester City, and in the return leg, they conceded a goal on the 73rd minute. In the 89th minute, they're still 0-1 down in the current match and 5-3 down in aggregate. It would seem that Manchester City are one step away from the Champions League final, and nothing can stop them. But what happened next shocked the entire football world. Real Madrid switched on the crazy pressure and began to use opponents' mistakes, scoring 2 goals in a row within 7 minutes. This way, they brought the game into extra time, where 2 minutes later, they earned a penalty kick, which Karim Benzema successfully scored. The match ended with a score of 3-1, allowing Real Madrid to reach the Champions League final and subsequently win the trophy.
10-15 minutes completely attack, we could not survive. It's not the case.
Real have a real instinct for weakness, and it's not about individual players, but the well-coordinated work of the Royal Club's entire system. For a more objective assessment, let's take a look at one more match. It's the Champions League 2021-22 again. In the first leg of the round of 16, the Madridistas lost 1-0 against PSG. In the second match, Mbappe scored already on the 39th minute, and thus made the score 2-0 on aggregate. It would seem that Real was very close to defeat, but as soon as they realised it, they turned on a different pace. They changed the tempo and Benzema scored a hat-trick in 17 minutes. And in the end, Real knocked the Parisians out of the game.
In transition, and when Real Madrid was keeping the ball, they couldn't cope with it.
Just an amazing skill. Many times, largely thanks to this ability, they've survived and made it to the final, where they've demolished their opponents on experience. Fifth reason, competent team management. Despite some lapses in Real Madrid's transfer policy, their management has, for the most part, been excellent. The economic performance of the club has been excellent, largely thanks to the sales and purchases of players. Although originally, Real president Florentino Perez placed much weight on buying ready-made star players, quickly forgetting about the club's legends. As was the case with Real, who became essentially unnecessary after the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo. But then Real Madrid concentrated perfectly on the goal of finding young talents and buying them for reasonable money. Notable examples in recent years are purchases like Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Valverde, Camavinga. All of these youngsters have been excellent reinforcers for Real Madrid. The Royal Club also manages to sell their established players perfectly for good sums of money. Cristiano Ronaldo, who moved to Juventus for €115 million. Casemiro, who moved to Manchester United for $60 million. Mateo Kovacic, who moved to Chelsea for $35 million, are the great examples. And this is by no means a complete list. Having analysed all this, one can admire the quality of the team managers, since the new players bring results, and those who can't do it anymore bring the club good money. That management invests in the development of the club. Sixth reason, proper selection of the coaching staff. Real Madrid is one of the most competent teams when it comes to selecting coaching staff. If you take all of their coaches over the last 13 years, with the exception of one period after Zidane's departure, the team has been coached by some real tops. From 2010 to 2013, the team was coached by the legendary Portuguese Jose Mourinho, who despite his scandalous withdrawal and absence of Champions League trophy, has done a lot of important things for the club. Next, main coaches who have had some serious success with Real Madrid are Zinedine Zidane and Carlo Ancelotti. Each of them has considerable experience, which they have perfectly implemented in the Real Madrid system, and together they brought the club 5 Champions League trophies. In addition to the head coaches, the entire coaching staff is also worth mentioning. On the example of Luka Modric, it's easy to say that the Croatian would have never reached the level of performance at which he was at his best without the Real Madrid fitness coaches. After all, before coming to Real, Luka was a puny player who tried to avoid one-on-one battles, and it was not easy for him to run the entire game maintaining a high tempo. But after just a couple of seasons, he was a completely different player. The demands here are so high, and you always have to be at the very best level to deserve to stay here. 7th reason, good distribution of forces, tactics. Thanks to the excellent work of the entire Real staff, even when the team is completely rebuilt, they managed to find the keys to victory. For example, as long as Cristiano Ronaldo played in the team, virtually all of the Madrid game was built around him, with Benzema, who's now truly shining, doing just the dirty work, creating the conditions for the Portuguese. After Ronaldo left the team, many were convinced that Real Madrid would not see the Champions League or any Spanish trophies for a long time. What happened in the end? Real has rebuilt its game in 3 years, and in the season of 2021-22, they won another Champions League trophy. Karim Benzema became the club's star player and now regularly scores in every competition. I know him, he's a great coach, he gives me a lot of confidence, he lets me play my game. What he asks me is always the same, to play. Play my game, play to win, make the difference, but he doesn't pressure me. Finally, we conclude that, with top-class players in the lineup, Madridistas can always rebuild the game in the best possible way and win almost every team. There you have it, the reasons why Real Madrid dominates the European competitions. Although for the most part the spotlight was on recent years, this also applies to all past generations. In fact, it's not about specific individuals, it's all about the whole huge system that has been built up over the years. Do you think Real will continue to dominate the international scene in the next 10 to 20 years, or any other club is close to taking over? Write your opinion in the comments.